Hi, darlings. Rajee Narinesingh here, transgender activist, author, and actress. You might recognize me from that reality show Botched on the E! Network, season 2, 3, and 4. Well, hey, I just say it and put it out there because so many people recognize me. And so anyone that's watching this video for the first time, and haven't really watched my videos and they're looking and saying, wait a minute, I know her. I know that face. Oh my God. I just put it out there so you don't think you're seeing things or imagining anything. Yes, it's Rajee from Botched. So I'm coming to you from my humble home here in South Florida, the United States of America, and it's getting dark. It's evening time. Does it look nice and dim and cozy? Hey, do I look dim and cozy? Let me stop. So anyway, I met this trans woman recently, and she's what I would call passable. And what I mean by passable is that she can go out into society and people don't know she's transgender. She could basically assimilate into mainstream society and people don't know. And the official word would be living stealth. When you're passable and you're not open about being trans, like you don't disclose that. So you're just living as a regular woman or a regular man. And listen, hey, if that works for you, trans sisters and brothers, and you're happy, that's all that matters. And hey, more power to you. This is where I have the problem. Okay, so I was talking to her about the Trump administration and how recently they were saying that they wanted to roll back on some of the transgender rights. And her attitude was, oh, well, honey, that don't affect me. I'm a woman, honey. I'm not part of that y'all community, that kind of thing. And I'm standing there thinking like, really? Really? Now, I know a number of people that are living stealth, semi-stealth basically, but they're still involved in the community. They're still involved with advocacy. They realize that what happens to our transgender community also affects them, even though they're living stealth. These transgender sisters and brothers that are living stealth and get involved and, they have the mentality that they realize that, hey, listen, we are all a community. We're a part of one another. I have so much respect for her. Like, I really do. But I have a problem with trans people that are living stealth and they have this attitude like, oh, honey, I'm a woman now, honey. I'm a man now. I don't got to deal with y'all like, I'm not part of that y'all community or that community or however they want to say it. I just have a problem with that. And I think, now don't get me wrong, not everyone is built to be an activist. Not everyone wants to do that. I understand that. And hey, if you have your life and you're living stealth and you're not like getting involved with all the different organizations and groups and stuff, that's fine. But it's where I have the big problem is the mentality, the attitude. Yeah, which I think is just like, it's horrible. It's horrible. Listen, I could be the most fishiest trans woman. What I mean, very feminine trans woman, and go out in society, no one would know. And at the end of the day, I am still transgender. All right, because I know what I am. I'm still transgender. Hey, I have a friend. She had the bottom surgery, and she jokes with me. She's like, "Oh, girl, this cul-de-sac." This hole that leads to nowhere. Because, in biological women, it leads to a uterus and all of that, your internal organs. But in trans women, when you get a vagina, it's basically a hole, that leads to nowhere. There's there's only one way out, one opening. But that's neither here nor there. I just think it's funny that she says that. And I just think like, the attitude really, it hurts us as a community. It really does. We are all affected. Even if you're living stealth, if something happens to our community, it may not affect you directly, but there is a ripple effect. It's like the pebble in the pond, and it will affect you on some level, even if it's just internally, that you know, oh my God, you know, this is happening to transgender people, and I'm transgender. Even if I'm living this, it's a secret, no one knows. You know. You know. Honey, I could call myself Apple all day. Apple, 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 apple. But the bottom line is, I'm not a fucking apple. I'm many things, but I'm not an apple. Okay? And so, you know, I just want to make this clear. I don't have a problem if you're living stealth. And you know, if you choose to not share that you're transgender with people, my problem is the attitude, like making it like, oh, you know, basically that you're better than. Like, you know, like you have nothing to do with our community anymore because of that. And you don't care. You basically could care less about what happens because it don't affect you. Well, does it? Does it? Listen, I come from a multiracial background, and I think this will be a good example, something similar to what I'm talking about. My father is of South Asian descent. He's from the island of Trinidad, though. He was from the island of Trinidad, but he was of South Asian descent. And quick history lesson, in the early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s, there was an influx of East Indians that went to the island of Trinidad to work the sugarcane fields for 5 years. And after 5 years, they were supposed to go back to India. Some did, but most people stayed. I got to do a whole video on that one day, but that's a little quick history lesson of why you have so many people from Trinidad of South Asian descent. So anyway, my mom is multiracial. She's American, and she comes from a very mixed family of color. Very, very mixed family of color. And in our family, we had people that back in the day went and passed as white. They left the family and they went to live as white people. They married white and they went on to live a life as a white person. Now, we're talking, this is before civil rights, and it was really hard to be an African American in those days, or black in those days. Well, those weren't the words that were used then, but anyway, you all get the message. So a lot of people, including some of my relatives that could pass, went on and did for a better life. Now, they were still affected. Believe me, they were still affected. The whole thing of living this secret, and is my secret going to come out? And then when they had children, worrying about how the kids were going to look. Because remember, genes have a way of skipping generations. So, you know, all of that. Not being able to be connected to the family. And just that living with that secret. Because really, when you think about it, if you're living stealth, or you're passing, or whatever word you want to use, and you have a life and you have friends and stuff, you have to, in the back of your mind, question, like, if these people knew I was what I am, would they still be my friend? I mean, even if it's not, you know, right there, you're thinking of it, but in the back of your mind, at some point you have to be thinking about that. Anyway, my Aunt Emma, who actually really, you'd look at her, you wouldn't even, she didn't look African American. She looked like a dark Italian, or maybe Jewish, but like with an olive complected Jew. And so when her sister died, one of the ones that was passing as white, when she passed away, when she died, Aunt Emma did not go to the funeral because she was afraid that if she went, it was just going to cause a big, you know, commotion and just be horrible. And so she chose not to go. And I just thought to myself, like, how sad. Like, you know, they went to live as white for a better life, but really, like, was it that much better? Like, you know, and I guess we'd have to ask them, right? They're long gone now. But I just look at that and I say, "Oh, what's wrong with my computer?" Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to look at that and question, like, wow, was it really better? So anyway, I think that's a pretty good example. And like I said, I don't have a problem. If you can do it, great, more power to you. You don't have to deal with the, injustice and discrimination that a lot of us trans people have dealt with on a daily basis. And I think that's wonderful. It's just get rid of the attitude. Because, baby, you are a part of this community, whether you like it or not. And when shit happens to our community, on some level, you will be affected. Love, peace, and blessings. Oh, and hashtag Trans Lives Matter. Oh, and hashtag United Global Family. I love you all. Bye. I'm going to go get something to eat now. Oh, I'm hungry after all of this talking.